Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augmented Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I'm your host as usual, and obviously welcome back to the show. Today's episode 256 of the show, and before we get started, we're just going to do a little bit of house quick around here because it only makes sense that we do it. So let's just get on with the house cleaning. I do want to say thank you guys for coming back and listening to today's episode. It does mean a lot to me. You guys constantly take time in your days to download these episodes, to share these episodes, to constantly keep letting me know how you feel, whether you like my stupid face or not. At the end of the day, your opinions are greatly appreciated, and I greatly appreciate you. So also, thank you back. Thank you for even coming back and listening to this show, because let's be real, it'd be kind of awkward if I just sat here talking to myself for like a couple minutes straight. So I'm grateful that you guys actually come and listen. But aside from all that stuff, I'm going to be transparent with you guys. Like I always have been, but let's just be real. With this one, I literally changed the episode last minute just because of the fact that the news that came out is unprecedented. It's especially very jarring, if I'm going to be honest with you, due to the fact that the topic we were going to talk about was the Pixel Fold, the official leaks and everything that came out from John Prosser. But literally, lo and behold, I wake up this morning and we get a press briefing from the CMA stating that they have now blocked Microsoft/Activision Blizzard's deal, or in this case, acquisition. And this has sparked a lot of conversation online that not only makes this more challenging for Microsoft and Activision Blizzard to go forward to make this acquisition happen, or merger, whatever you want to call it, but I think it's also more confusing when you look at the ramifications, when you look at the overall rationale as to why they did it. Which here I have this article pulled up from the actual CMA. This is from www.gov.uk. This is the official press release from the CMA that states the following. Microsoft/Activision deal prevented to protect innovation and choice in cloud gaming. So keep that in mind. This is about cloud gaming. Again, I'm going to make the effort to try to be as objective as possible, but I personally have my concerns, especially when it comes to the fact that they did it over cloud gaming, but we'll get on with it a little bit later. So here's what it says. The CMA has prevented Microsoft's proposed purchase of Activision over concerns that the deal would alter the future of the fast-growing cloud gaming market, leading to reduced innovation and less choice for UK gamers over the years to come. As we continue to go through, that it states that Microsoft solutions had significant shortcomings and would require regulatory oversight by the CMA. The panel chair stated, "Cloud gaming needs a free, competitive market to drive innovation and choice." This is a direct quote from the panel chair. As we continue to go through this, the final decision to prevent the deal comes after Microsoft's proposed solution failed to effectively address the concerns in the cloud gaming sector, outlined in Competition and Markets Authority, the CMA's provisional findings published in February. Microsoft entered into a $68.7 billion deal to buy Activision, one of the most popular video game publishers in the world, in January 2022. The CMA launched an in-depth review of the deal in September 2022, and in February 2023, provisionally found that the merger could make Microsoft even stronger in cloud gaming, stifling competition in this growing market. So, obviously, there are some concerns, especially with this last part, referring to stifling competition in this growing market, when it was already established ahead of time that Microsoft had signed a 10-year agreement with both NVIDIA and Ubiquiti to not only improve their cloud gaming infrastructures, but to make sure that all games, Xbox and Activision Blizzard games and stuff like that, would be going to the services day one. So I think it's kind of weird that that's ignored in this entire thing, because as we keep reading through, you'll see how they just ignore that part. But, no big deal, right? But continuing, the cloud gaming concern section. The UK cloud gaming market is growing fast. Monthly active users in the UK more than tripled from the start of 2021 to the end of 2022. It is forecasted to be worth up to 11 billion euros globally and 1 billion euros in the UK by 2026. By the way of comparison, sales of recorded music in the UK in 2021 amounted to 1.1 billion euros. And they even stated this specific part, which I still say is very questionable, that Microsoft has a strong position in cloud gaming services, and the evidence available to the CMA show that Microsoft would find it commercially beneficial to make Activision's games exclusive to its own cloud gaming service. Even though they already signed an agreement with other people, but that's a whole different story. Microsoft already accounts for an estimated 60 to 70% of the global cloud gaming service and other important strengths in cloud gaming, from owning Xbox, the leading PC operating system, Windows, and a global cloud computing infrastructure, both Azure and cloud and Xbox Cloud Gaming. The deal would reinforce Microsoft's advantages in the market by giving it control over important gaming content such as Call of Duty, Overwatch, and World of Warcraft. The evidence available to CMA indicates that, absent the merger, Activision would start providing games via cloud gaming platforms in the foreseeable future. The cloud allows UK gamers to avoid buying expensive gaming consoles and PCs and give them much more flexibility and choice as to how they play. Allowing Microsoft to take such a strong position in the cloud gaming market just as it begins to grow rapidly would risk undermining the innovation that is crucial to the development of these opportunities. And they start going over like the remedy that they said Microsoft submitted a proposal to address some of these concerns, which the CMA examined in considerable depth. The proposed remedy set out requirements governing what statements must be offered by Microsoft to what platforms and on what conditions over a 10-year period. Such remedies are described as behavioral because they seek to regulate the behavior of the business involved in a merger, requiring them to behave in a way which may be contrary to their commercial incentives. This therefore takes the form of a type of ongoing regulatory or regulation of the sector, replacing the market forces in a growing and dynamic market with mandated regulatory obligations ultimately overseen and enforced by the CMA, in this case at a global level. Microsoft's proposal contained a number of significant shortcomings connected with the growing and fast-moving nature of cloud gaming services. And then these are some of the things that they stated. It did not sufficiently cover the different cloud gaming service models, including multi-game subscription services. It was not sufficiently open to providers who might wish to offer versions of games on PC operating systems other than Windows. So this could mean like Mac, Linux, but we'll address that a little bit later. It would standardize the terms and conditions on which games are available as opposed to them being determined by the dynamicism and creativity of competition in the market, as would be expected in the absence of the merger. Given the remedy applies only to a defined set of Activision games, which can be streamed only in a defined set of cloud gaming services, provided they are purchased in a defined set of online stores, there are significant risk of disagreement and conflict between Microsoft and cloud gaming service providers, particularly over a 10-year period in a rapidly changing market. Questionable about that last part, but we'll keep going. Accepting Microsoft's remedy would inevitably require some degree of regulatory oversight by the CMA. By contrast, preventing the merger would effectively allow market forces to continue to operate and shape the development of cloud gaming without this regulatory intervention. And as we keep going, the last section that they say, the CMA carefully considered whether the benefits of having Activision's content available on Game Pass outweigh the harm that the merger would cause to competition in cloud gaming in the UK. The CMA found that this new payment option, while beneficial to some customers, would not outweigh the overall harm to competition and ultimately UK gamers arising from this merger, particularly given the incentive for Microsoft to increase the cost of a Game Pass subscription post-merger to reflect the addition of Activision's valuable games. Well, we'll talk about this point too, because this has been a point of contention as well. And this is where like the whole argument with cloud gaming, you'll see as it starts to fall apart. Martin Coleman, chair of the independent panel of experts conducting this investigation, said, gaming is the UK's largest entertainment sector, cloud gaming is growing fast with potential to change gaming by altering the way games are played, freeing people from the need to rely on expensive consoles, PCs, et cetera, et cetera. This means it is vital that we protect competition in this emerging market and exciting market. Microsoft already enjoys a powerful position and a head start over the other competitors in cloud gaming, and this deal would strengthen that advantage, giving it the ability to undermine new and innovative competitors. Microsoft engaged constructively with us to try to address these issues, and we are grateful for that, but their proposals were not effective to remedy our concerns and would have replaced competition with ineffective regulation in a new and dynamic market. Cloud gaming needs a free and competitive market to drive innovation. Bro, I literally hate this alarm. I'm not lying to you guys. I hate this stupid alarm. Cloud gaming needs a free, competitive market to drive innovation and choice. That is best achieved by allowing current competitive dynamics in cloud gaming to continue to do their job. So, with all of that said, just being fully transparent here, I think the fact that they relied heavily on the debate or the rationale of cloud gaming being the issue is the weakest fundamental argument they could use, given the fact that deals were already put in place to not only make agreements with other cloud gaming providers, but also to increase their infrastructure as well, to increase their subscriptions. Because, well, yes, Microsoft is clearly going to want their platform to be more popular, et cetera, et cetera. That's just the name of the business. They're the ones who own the IPs and stuff like that. But that doesn't mean they're just going to completely shut down NVIDIA. NVIDIA still has a strong foothold in, the cloud and the cloud infrastructure. We're just going to pretend that NVIDIA doesn't have a strong infrastructure in cloud. We're just going to ignore that. The fact that they're the leading GPUs in the cloud gaming sector and even the cloud in general and data centers and stuff like that. We're just going to ignore that part, that just has no ramifications. NVIDIA doesn't have stroke and they literally couldn't bully Microsoft if they really wanted to, which they can. And then same thing with I think it's Ubiquity or one of the other company that they signed the agreement with, that it was quote unquote a smaller but still a very large player in the cloud gaming or the cloud infrastructure sector as well. And so I think it's just one of those things where it's the concern that they would just keep it exclusive. And I'm well, yes, I understand that, but also it's they have to think about as a whole. If you think of Call of Duty makes zero sense to just keep it exclusive only on Xbox and things like that. Yes, that was the concern that Sony had, which was that they would undermine the sales of Call of Duty on PlayStation because they could just put it on Game Pass. But that also raises the question, well, Sony, you have the possibility of doing it. It's just, instead of focusing on improving your cloud infrastructure, instead of improving your services to include a more competitive service to Xbox Game Pass, they choose to rely heavily more on the physical hardware sales and physical game sales and things like that, instead of trying to find ways to provide customers new value. That's just how the marketplace works. This is the point of a free-flowing market, that yes, competition will make you either you either make or break. That's just the name of the game at the end of it sounds messed up, but it's yes, if you can't keep up with your competition, then you deserve to just fall out. That's just the fact of the matter. It's the fact that Microsoft, or Xbox in this case, was able to develop a competitive edge. That's a competitive advantage. Why would you want to lose that? Yes, they invested so much time into making Xbox Game Pass the value that it is nowadays. That's why people call it the best value in gaming, because Game Pass just has everything. Day one releases, third-party games, et cetera, et cetera. And yes, they mentioned they could increase the pricing if they were to acquire Activision Blizzard. And it's well, yes, they were already going to do that to begin with, because let's be real, the business model, yes, it makes sense that they would increase prices. That just happens with subscription services. You have more value, you're going to increase prices. That's just, to reflect costs and things like that. And this is where a lot of people have been posting their concerns online, where it's yes, it makes sense that they want to focus in on cloud gaming because that would be the quote unquote buzz topic, the buzzwords and stuff like that. But it's just as an overall argument, it's going to fall flat in court when there's already things in place. And to me, it just sounds the CMA is more confused about the whole idea of cloud gaming, which Microsoft even stated that they will be appealing this in court. and that they do feel that the CMA has a very, I'd say, misunderstood understanding, if that makes any sense. Like, they essentially are implying that the CMA doesn't know what they're talking about when it comes to cloud gaming, and that they don't have a clear understanding of the market itself that they're trying to define. And if anything, because let's be real, the FTC is also still looking at this too. I'm not going to be surprised if US regulators or US regulators are going to be more pissed off with the UK, especially with the fact that whenever an American company, or American companies in this case, are trying to merge or do acquisitions and stuff like that, the UK is very stringent and more of, would you say, anti-American, if you want to try using that terminology, that they just don't want these deals to go through. And it's just kind of surprising how this just feels like it's going to discourage more businesses to not want to do business in the UK or do anything regarding that stuff, just because, well, they have to deal with this regulatory body that just, to be honest, seems very biased, and they're relying on a very weak argument to say that, hey, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this deal is bad for competition, even though we clearly see that there are multiple agreements put in place that state that this is actually better for competition because you're expanding the reach, you're expanding how many people get access to this kind of stuff. So it's like, you get what I'm saying? Like, it kind of just makes it seem like Sony bought them off. And that's the joke everyone's been making, that the Sony paycheck came through, because Sony hasn't even made a statement about any of this stuff right now. So that's just the objective fact. They haven't said jack squat. So we run into this issue where it's like, yeah, Microsoft is clearly pissed off. And if anything, this is going to take years now at this point, because appeals can usually take multiple years. So I'm not going to be surprised if this, Microsoft clearly is not going to get the closure that they wanted. They wanted to close this deal by the end of, I'd say, by June of this year. So because the CMA just said, nope, hell no, this ain't happening, chief. Yeah, this deal ain't closing this year, and it's going to take a while. And if the FTC says no, then I don't know what Microsoft's going to do with that extra $68 billion, because that's a lot of money. And Microsoft, I'm not going to be surprised. This entire situation, because we've said this from the get-go with regards to this whole situation, is that this situation, if the FTC takes it to court and trial, yes, both companies are air their dirty laundry. And if anything, this is just going to make relationships between Microsoft and Sony, and even Activision Blizzard with Sony, is going to make it very, very difficult. Like, Sony is going to be under large amounts of scrutiny from Activision Blizzard because of this, if they don't let the deal go through. Because Sony, as I mentioned, was the biggest the biggest entity that was against it. Google was okay with it, Nvidia was okay with it, all these other companies were okay with it. And so I think this is just going to make the relationships more tense with Sony. And it's not going to be surprising if, when the time comes to, quote unquote, renew the contract for PlayStation with Call of Duty and things like that, Activision is going to be like, F you guys, we're not doing business with you ever again. And who knows, this could probably push Activision to say, you know what? Just because of this, we're not going to post any of our games on PlayStation ever again. And so go fuck yourself. No offense, pardon the language. But let's be real, they're going to be petty about this. This is not a good look for all the parties involved. It obviously is going to makes Microsoft and Activision's life a little bit more hell, just because they can't close this deal. And at the same time, I just feel like this is going to make time even more rough, because more people are just going to not want to do business with Sony because of this shit. And so, I don't know. This is one of those things where this story is going to keep developing, and we will keep you guys updated. It's just also kind of annoying that this story still hasn't ended, and now we're going to have to be talking about this for the foreseeable future. So there's that. But this is breaking news at the end of the day. So Sony has not published a statement at the time of this recording, and we will be keeping you updated, because obviously Microsoft has already posted their statement that they will be filing an appeal. And outside of that, Bobby Kotick has even said that they are adamant that they're going to keep trying to go through to get this going. Yeah, here it is. The Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick said the CMA's decision isn't the news we wanted, but it is far from the final word on this deal. That he, in an email to staff that was made public, that, let's see, he also implied that Microsoft would withhold investment in AI technology in the UK if the deal wasn't approved. So, yeah, let's be real. This is just going to make businesses less and less inclined to do business with the UK because of stuff like this. Because, you know, in many ways, people can say like they're being biased with their preferences and things like that. So, you know, here we are with all this stuff. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Are you annoyed that this deal hasn't gone through yet? Or do you think like, hey, you know, who cares at this point? We'll figure it out. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I know this is obviously a breaking story. So this is obviously breaking news. So let's see what happens going from here. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I hope you guys have yourselves a wonderful week and weekend. Please don't do anything dumb. Please continue to be kind and respectful to those around you because the world is still a weird place, guys. But I love you guys to death. Please be safe out there, and I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys. Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.